Yeah, I know, low-hanging fruit making a video bitching about Teemo, but hear me out. I'm not gonna talk about how laning against Teemo is the antithesis of fun and attempting to win a trade with him is at best wishful thinking. I'm not gonna talk about how trying to have your jungler gank your lane post 6 turns into a Benny Hill style chase sequence in fucking Vietnam. And I'm not gonna talk about how, when you finally manage to corner the son of a bitch, he can just turn invisible as your team throws every skill shot they have at a bush like monkeys throwing shit at a wall to see what sticks. Actually, that's not an apt comparison, since the monkeys can see the fucking thing they're trying to hit! Instead, I want to talk about Teemo's most important and arguably biggest power spike in the entire game. Champ Select. You know how it goes. Someone on the enemy team locks in Teemo and your top laner's like, no! But what you don't see is the enemy team's reaction when Teemo locks in, which is usually something along the lines of, no! Because when you have a Teemo on your team, one of two things is gonna happen. Either they feed and you lose the game, or they dominate lane and you still lose the game. Because regardless of how lane phase goes, Teemo will stay in permapush mode top lane, flaming the rest of you for not being able to handle a perpetual 4v5. There is no team in Teemo, despite how that may sound. Anyone playing the stock market should invest in back braces if the sheer number of solo queue Teemos bitching about team too heavy can't carry are to be believed. It's ironic how so many players see split pushing as a solo carry strategy, when it's actually one of the most team-reliant playstyles in the game. Not only do you need enough map awareness to know when it's a good time to push, but you also have to rely on your team to be able to apply enough pressure on other parts of the map to make your 1v3s a noble sacrifice instead of you just overextending and getting caught out. But as far as Teemo is concerned, it's your fault every time he dies for not being able to stop the enemy team with 3 air drakes and a 10-kill lead from picking off anyone dumb enough to push to their inhib with no wards. And before you say anything, I know there are a few of you out there with grand tales of how you have a 90% win rate playing Teemo top and how you got a pentakill because you expertly kited the enemy team into your mushrooms. That may certainly be the case, but considering Teemo's win rate in the elos that matter, my guess is that you're a hard-stuck silver 4 one-trick, and it's not that hard to get multi-kill streaks when you're playing against literal jellyfish.
And the trumpets, they go.
And while I'm at it, why does everyone play Teemo top? I mean, there are some people out there who play him jungle or support, but those are the kinds of people who eat plain ketchup and use the word femoid. Long ago, when the League gods crafted the meta from the primordial ooze and freaks ass hairs, they in all their wisdom decided that Teemo should be played top lane, and the rest of us just accepted it. Now, I'm just as much of a meta slave as everyone else, but does anyone even bother to ask why anymore? Do we ever try to comprehend the logic behind why every character you play is arbitrarily assigned to a certain position on the map to the point that they integrated it into the fucking champ select process? Or do we all just copy whatever we see our favorite YouTuber, streamer, or pro player do and hope our blind zeal will carry us through? I've tried asking other players why Teemo's supposed to be top lane and they just look at me like I asked them which kitchen appliance they'd like to fuck. Like, okay, Teemo is a ranged character.
Yep.
Who primarily relies on auto attacks to do damage.
Yep.
And ranged auto attack reliant characters are typically played in bot lane.
That makes sense to me.
And yet here we are swallowing the meta so we won't get reported for trolling just for playing a champ where Daddy Riot told us not to. Best I can figure, Teemo's purpose in top lane is to bully his opposing laners so that they leave lane phase as weak as possible. That's not bad in theory, especially considering how important top lane has been to the meta recently. But that's assuming you actually win your lane. If you don't, then you've sacrificed a spot typically reserved for tanky frontliners in exchange for another squishy that needs constant peeling to do anything useful. Better hope no one else on your team fed, because that Darius you've been shoving to tower the whole game finally finished his core build, and he's ready to fuck. With that being said, can Teemo work top lane? Sure, but that's only because top is where the meta goes to die. Everyone considers top lane an island, so barring any ganks from your jungler, it's basically just a 1v1 between you and the enemy laner. If you're good at 1v1, you'll most likely win lane no matter what you play. Main a mid laner that isn't good in the meta? Play him top. Want to play ADC but hate seeing those filthy communist supports leeching your XP? Play him top. Want to play full attack speed bard? Who hurt you? But lane phase will eventually end, And if you can't transfer that momentum to the rest of the map, then you won't so much snowball as snowflake. Which is fitting, considering how triggered your team's gonna be in the chat.
You had that in my mouth!
But the true beauty and horror behind Teemo Top is that they've made a cheese pick into the meta. Cheese picks work because your opponent isn't likely to know the matchup. And even if they do know the matchup, either because they happen to know your champ well enough or because they've been in the depths of bronze for so long that nothing faces them anymore, you're still most likely playing someone that counters them early anyway. So with Teemo being a meta top laner, people might know the matchup but still have no way to react other than to sit under tower and wait for Daddy Teemo to give you the minions like a good girl. Bye!